My beloved child, don't skip, because the truth I'm about to unfold is not something that appears randomly or accidentally in your life. It is a message woven into the threads of your destiny, a whisper the universe has been trying to deliver to you through signs, emotions, synchronicities, and silent moments you didn't even realize were guiding you. Listen closely now, because this is the moment everything starts making sense. There is someone around you, someone whose soul vibrates whenever you appear, someone whose heart shifts from calm to chaos the moment your presence touches the air. They don't show it, they don't say it, they don't express it in obvious ways, but inside them, something enormous stirs every time you exist even for a second in their field of awareness. They look at you with an affection they try so hard to hide, because they fear you might notice how deeply they feel. Their heart races, their thoughts scatter, their breath stumbles, and yet they act normal on the outside because they have mastered the art of silence, the art of pretending, the art of carrying emotions too big for their chest without letting them spill into the world. But my beloved child, what they are carrying isn't ordinary love. It's not the kind of feeling that just enters and leaves. It's not the kind of attraction that fades with time. What they hold for you is something older, deeper, more spiritual, something that feels like it didn't begin in this lifetime at all. But there is a truth they are hiding, a truth that has tied their tongue, frozen their steps, and created a wall between what they feel and what they show. There is one detail about your appearance, not your beauty, not your flaw, not your imperfection, but a detail that awakens a memory in them so powerful, it steals their breath. They don't see something wrong in you, they see something familiar, something that reminds them of a chapter in their life they never healed from, a soul they once loved so deeply that losing them carved a permanent mark inside their heart. When they look at you, it feels like the past walks back into the present, not to hurt them but to haunt them, to challenge them, to shake them, to break open the emotions they buried years ago. And that is why they struggle. That is why their heart stumbles every time your face enters their vision. That is why their voice shakes when they speak to you. That is why they avoid your eyes sometimes, not because they don't feel anything, but because they feel too much. And inside this overwhelming mix of love and memory, they are terrified. They fear falling again because the last time they loved someone who felt this familiar, destiny took that person away. So now, even though their soul is drawn to you with a force that feels divine, their mind whispers warnings. What if I lose this person too? What if loving again means breaking again? What if this ends like last time? This internal storm has left them stuck between desire and fear, between longing and silence, between wanting to step forward and being terrified of losing the very thing their heart is aching for. You don't know how many nights they have spent replaying your smile in their mind, how many moments they've spent wondering why you stir something inside them they thought was dead, how many times they've looked at you and felt the weight of words they'll never say. They notice everything about you, the way you move, the way you speak, the tiny expressions on your face, the softness in your voice, the fire in your eyes, the innocence in your laughter, the strength in your silence. And yet, despite all this love, despite this magnetic pull, they are afraid to step closer because every time they see that one detail about your appearance, maybe your eyes, your smile, your expressions, your gestures, their heart is reminded of someone whose absence still hurts. They never healed from that loss. They never recovered from that goodbye. And now, facing you, they fear that destiny might repeat itself. But my beloved child, here is the truth they haven't realized yet. You are not a repetition of their past, you are the healing their future has been waiting for. They don't understand yet that the universe didn't bring you into their life to reopen old wounds, but to show them that love didn't end where they thought it did. Their fear is not about you. Their fear is about losing you. Their hesitation is not rejection. Their silence is not lack of emotion. Their distance is not disinterest. It is simply the trembling of a heart that has been hurt too deeply before, now recognizing the possibility of something real, something meaningful, something destined. And because their feelings for you are unlike anything they've felt since that old, unforgettable loss, they don't know how to hold them without shaking. They don't know how to love without fearing its end. They don't know how to step toward you without worrying that the universe might take you away. But what they cannot see, and what destiny is trying to tell you through this message, is that their fear is actually proof of how deeply they care, how strongly they feel, how much they want you without knowing how to say it. Their heart is not scared of your appearance, it is scared of how powerfully that appearance awakens love they thought they'd never feel again. And this entire message has arrived at your hands because the universe wants you to understand that their silence has never been a sign of doubt. It has been a sign of depth. Something massive is being set in motion, and their fear, their love, their memories, their hesitation, all of it is about to transform. Their story with you is only beginning. My beloved child, stay with me and don't skip, because what comes next is the part of the truth that person has never had the courage to admit, not to you, not to themselves, not even to the universe they pray to every night. The reason your appearance shakes something inside them is not what you might assume, it has nothing to do with judgment, insecurity, or comparison. It is something far more delicate, far more emotional, far more tied to the deepest memory their heart has ever carried. You resemble someone they once loved so fiercely that losing them felt like losing a part of their soul. That person, the one from their past, wasn't a mistake, wasn't a wound, wasn't a symbol of pain. They were someone who brought warmth, healing, and meaning into their life, someone who taught them how to love deeply, how to trust vulnerably, how to cherish fearlessly. But life, in its unpredictable cruelty, tore that person away from them before they ever got the chance to say everything they wanted, before they understood how much that connection truly meant. And for years, your person, the one who loves you silently now, carried that loss like a hidden scar. They moved on, or at least they pretended to. They learned to act normal, to smile, to live, to work, to breathe, but deep down, they never recovered from how suddenly destiny changed their story. They buried that love, not because it was wrong, but because remembering it hurt more than forgetting it. And so they built walls, emotional armor, layers of silence around their heart, promising themselves they would never allow that kind of vulnerability again. They convinced themselves that deep emotional connection was dangerous, that loving too strongly leads to heartbreak, that closeness always ends in loss. They taught themselves to be careful, to be guarded, to never let anyone enter the sacred space where their memories and fears lived. And then, my beloved child, you appeared, not slowly, not gently, but like a spark that reignited something inside them they thought was long dead. The first time they saw you, they felt something familiar, something strange, something they could not name. And even though they couldn't explain it, a tiny voice inside them whispered, "I've met this soul before." They told themselves it was imagination. They told themselves it was coincidence. They tried to ignore it, deny it, suppress it, but every time they looked at you, that feeling grew louder, clearer, stronger. You didn't remind them of pain, you reminded them of home. You didn't remind them of heartbreak, you reminded them of hope. You didn't remind them of what they lost, you reminded them of what they were meant to find again. But instead of comforting them, this familiarity terrified them. They didn't know how to process the fact that your eyes carried the softness they once adored, that your smile carried the warmth they once lived for, that your presence carried the same emotional frequency as a past love they never healed from. so their heart reacted in panic. Not because they didn't like you, but because they liked you too much. Not because something was wrong with your appearance, but because something in your appearance awakened a memory they weren't ready to feel again. They started avoiding their own emotions, avoiding their own truth, because loving you felt like opening a door they once closed forever. They feared that if they allowed themselves to love again, the universe might repeat the cruelty it once showed them. And so, they froze. They acted distant even when their heart was pulling them closer. They acted composed even when their emotions were trembling violently inside them. They acted normal even when your presence disturbed the quiet they had built inside their soul. They told themselves that what they were feeling was dangerous, that the connection was too deep, too fast, too intense to be safe. But destiny does not care about safety, destiny cares about alignment. And that alignment kept happening. Every time you spoke, something inside them softened. Every time you smiled, something inside them warmed. Every time your eyes met theirs, something inside them woke up. They tried to deny it, but the truth was becoming too loud to ignore. Their soul recognized you. Not as a replacement. Not as a copy. Not as a memory. But as a continuation of a love story that destiny left unfinished. And the more they tried to push this realization away, the stronger it became. They noticed things about you without meaning to, the kindness in your voice, the sincerity in your heart, the innocence in your laughter, the strength in your silence. They noticed how you carried the same purity that once healed them. They noticed how your presence stabilizes them even when their mind is in chaos. They noticed how their soul calms around you in a way they haven't experienced in years. And instead of running away from you, they began running away from their own fear, trying desperately not to repeat the pain they once lived through. But the universe has been patiently guiding them toward a truth they can no longer escape. Your resemblance to their past doesn't mean you are a reminder of loss. It means destiny is returning to them the kind of love they were meant to have, but this time, in a new form, in a stronger form, in a form that doesn't disappear. And slowly, very slowly, that realization is cracking their fear open. They are beginning to understand that the emotions they hid for so long aren't returning to hurt them, they're returning to heal them. They're realizing that you didn't enter their life to repeat the past, you entered to rewrite it. And the very detail of your appearance that once scared them is now becoming the sign that tells them, this connection is real. This connection is destined. This connection is meant. My beloved child, understand this, their fear has nothing to do with you. Their hesitation has nothing to do with rejection. Their struggle has nothing to do with doubt. It is simply the trembling of a heart learning to trust again after years of carrying silent grief. You are awakening emotions they thought they would never feel again. You are bringing hope to places inside them they thought were dead. And very soon, their fear will collapse under the weight of how deeply they feel for you. Because destiny did not bring you into their life by mistake, destiny brought you to show them that love didn't end where they thought it did. It was simply waiting for the right soul to return. My beloved child, don't skip now, because part 3 is the moment where their inner world begins to break open in ways they never expected, and everything they've been hiding finally starts turning into truths they can no longer outrun. The person who loves you, silently, intensely, fearfully, is now standing at a point inside their own heart where the past and the future are colliding with such force that they can no longer pretend nothing is happening. For the longest time, they tried to convince themselves that what they felt for you was temporary, just an attraction, just a passing emotion, something that would fade if they distracted themselves long enough. But it didn't fade. It grew. It intensified. It deepened. And every time they saw you, every time you spoke, every time your presence entered their orbit, their emotions tightened around them like a truth they could no longer deny. The familiarity of your appearance. The one detail that first triggered their fear, is now becoming the very thing their heart keeps returning to, again and again, as if destiny planted it inside you on purpose. They don't understand why, but they can feel it. Something about you is unraveling the grief they buried, something about you is healing wounds they hid, something about you is awakening a tenderness inside them they promised themselves they would never feel again. They are confused, overwhelmed, and shaken, because your presence is rebuilding parts of them they thought were broken beyond repair. But as this awakening grows stronger, so does their fear not of you, but of themselves, of their emotions, of the way their heart behaves around you, of how completely you disarm them without even trying. They find themselves replaying your conversations in their mind long after you've left, remembering tiny details about your expressions, noticing the softness in your tone, memorizing the way your eyes shift when you speak from the heart. They catch themselves smiling at memories they shouldn't be thinking about, losing focus because your existence has become a quiet soundtrack inside their thoughts, interrupting their routines, disrupting their sleep, making them feel alive in ways they almost forgot were possible. And this aliveness terrifies them because it reminds them of the exact moment they once loved with this intensity, the moment destiny took away the person who meant everything. Their mind warns them, be careful. Don't fall again. Don't open your heart. Don't risk another heartbreak. But their soul whispers louder, this feeling is different. This person is different. This connection is meant. And now they are stuck in this emotional civil war, one side pulling them backward into fear, the other pulling them forward into trust. The universe keeps pushing signs toward them. Dreams, coincidences, intuitive nudges, unexpected moments where thoughts of you hit them so strongly that they have to pause and ask themselves, why does this feel like fate? They notice your presence even when you're not there. They feel an invisible thread connecting their emotions to yours. They sense that something bigger than logic is unfolding, something that goes beyond attraction, beyond coincidence, beyond choice. They didn't choose to feel this way, their soul chose it for them. And the more they resist, the more destiny pushes them toward you. They are starting to realize that the resemblance you carry is not a warning, it's a signal. A signal that the universe is offering them a second chance at the kind of love they lost too early. A love they thought they would never experience again. A love that once brought meaning into their life and then disappeared before they were ready. That memory still hurts. But now, standing in front of you, something inside them understands that destiny is bringing back that feeling not to repeat the pain, but to complete the story. They are beginning to see that you are not here to reopen the wound, you are here to heal it. You are the unfinished chapter returning in the form destiny always intended. But my beloved child, this realization scares them so deeply that they don't know how to handle it. They want to run to you, but fear holds them still. They want to speak to you, but words crumble inside their throat. They want to tell you everything they feel, but the memories of past heartbreak grip their heart with cold hands. Still, something inside them is shifting, slowly, steadily, powerfully. Their fear isn't disappearing, but it's losing strength. Their silence isn't growing, it's cracking. Their walls aren't standing tall, they're weakening with every moment destiny aligns you closer. They are starting to notice how different you are from the person they lost. You carry a warmth that doesn't fade. You carry a stability that doesn't shake. You carry a presence that feels like it was sent by the universe specifically for them. And because of this, their heart is awakening, not in a loud, dramatic way, but in a quiet, trembling way that scares them and comforts them at the same time. They stand in front of you and feel like they're standing at the edge of a future they never thought they deserved. They feel safe around you in a way that doesn't make sense, known in a way they can't explain, seen in a way that makes them want to trust again. And for the first time in years, they are considering the possibility that maybe, just maybe, their story didn't end with loss. Maybe destiny was preparing them, shaping them, breaking them open so they could recognize something real when it finally appeared. And now that something real is you. My beloved child, understand this: they aren't scared of loving you. They are scared of losing you. They aren't silent because they don't feel enough. They are silent because they feel too much. And the universe is slowly pushing them toward the moment where fear will collapse and truth will rise. Part 3 is that turning point. The moment where their soul begins choosing you even while their mind tries to resist. Soon, they will not be able to hold these emotions inside anymore. The shift has begun. My beloved child, don't skip now, because part 4 is the moment where the unseen forces of destiny start moving with an intensity that even this person, the one who loves you quietly but fiercely, can no longer ignore or run from. Until now, they were living caught between the pull of their past and the pull of their heart, struggling to understand why you affect them so deeply, why your presence disturbs the silence they once hid inside, why their soul wakes up every time you step into the same space. But now, something inside them is changing, shifting, trembling in a way they did not see coming. Their fear, which once felt huge and unshakable, is beginning to crack under the weight of their growing emotions for you. And the more destiny aligns your paths, the more unexpected encounters happen, the more intuitive nudges they feel, the more dreams and signs they receive, the harder it becomes for them to hold on to the belief that this connection is just coincidence. Because it isn't. Something far greater is unfolding. They feel it in their chest when they think of you, they feel it in their mind when your name crosses their thoughts, they feel it in their soul when life places you in their path again and again, as if the universe is whispering, "This is meant. Stop running." And now, instead of fighting their emotions like before, they are starting to surrender to them, not fully, not confidently, but in small, subtle ways that reveal how deeply you have started to melt their resistance. They notice themselves opening up in tiny moments, a longer glance, a softer tone, a hesitation that feels like longing, a nervousness that feels like vulnerability. They catch themselves wanting to know more about you, wanting to understand you, wanting to decode why you feel so familiar, why your presence feels like a continuation of something they lived long before they ever met you. And while fear still lingers, its voice is no longer as loud as it once was. Instead, something else is rising within them, a strange, magnetic courage that wasn't there before, a spark of belief that maybe they don't have to run from the past to embrace the future. They are beginning to understand that the person you remind them of isn't a ghost of heartbreak, they were a lesson, a stepping stone, a soul who prepared them for a love that is meant to arrive later. You. And this realization is slowly breaking the chains of guilt and grief they've carried for years. They are beginning to see that destiny didn't bring you into their life to replace anyone, it brought you to fulfill what was left unfinished, to complete a story that began long before they were ready to experience it. But even as clarity grows inside them, their heart is still restless. They don't know how to approach you. They don't know how to express the storm inside them. They don't know how to explain the connection they feel. A connection that scares them, comforts them, awakens them, and overwhelms them all at once. They practice conversations in their head, imagining what they might say if they ever found the courage to speak their truth. They rehearse confessions they fear they'll never be brave enough to voice. They imagine revealing everything: their fear, their recognition, their confusion, their longing. But every time they get close to doing so, their heart trembles with the memory of how it felt to lose someone before, and silence wins again. Yet this silence is no longer the same. It's no longer a silence of avoidance, but a silence of preparation. Their emotions are beginning to reach a point where holding them inside is becoming unbearable. They find themselves thinking of you when they wake up, thinking of you when they fall asleep, thinking of you during the smallest moments of the day. Every time they try to distract themselves, destiny pulls your memory right back into the center of their mind. And deep down, they know why. They know that their fear is shrinking because they are finally ready to see what is right in front of them. You are not here to hurt them. You are here to heal where the past broke them. You are here to bring back a love they once believed was gone forever. You are here to show them that the universe does not take away without giving back something far more aligned. And now, their heart is beginning to accept that truth. They are starting to see that loving you will not destroy them, it will transform them. They are beginning to understand that your resemblance is not a wound, but a signal that destiny is circling back to complete what was interrupted. Your presence is loosening the knots inside their chest, softening the walls around their heart, quieting the fears that once controlled them. And as this emotional transformation intensifies, they can feel something rising inside them, an urge, a pull, a push from fate itself, telling them that the time to hide is ending. They know they cannot keep silent forever. They know they cannot keep pretending these feelings don't exist. They know they cannot keep running from the connection that has been chasing them since the moment they saw you. Their heart is reaching a point where truth is becoming stronger than fear. And soon, very soon, they will find themselves standing at a crossroads, the moment where destiny will ask them to choose: keep hiding in the shadows of old pain or step into the light of a future they secretly crave with you. My beloved child, understand this: Part 4 is the beginning of their awakening. They are not fully ready yet, but the shift has already begun. Their soul is turning toward you, slowly but unmistakably. And destiny is preparing them for something they never expected, the moment they choose love over fear. My beloved child, don't skip now, because Part 5 is the moment where the emotional storm inside this person starts reaching a point where silence can no longer protect them, and destiny begins pushing them harder than ever toward the truth they've been terrified to face. Until now, they managed to hide their emotions behind fear, behind memories, behind the belief that letting anyone close again was dangerous. But something inside them is shifting rapidly, almost uncontrollably, as if their soul has finally grown tired of running from what it has recognized since the very first moment it saw you. They are starting to understand that the intensity they feel around you is not ordinary, not random, not just another attraction. It is something destiny-tied, something spiritual, something that keeps pulling them toward you no matter how much they try to escape. And even though their fear still whispers warnings, those warnings are losing power every day, because your presence is dissolving the shadows of their past in ways they never imagined possible. They look at you now and feel not just familiarity but comfort, not just resemblance but renewal, not just memory but meaning. Their heart is beginning to see that the person from their past, the one they lost, the one whose absence carved pain into their soul, was never meant to be the ending of their story. They were the opening chapter. You are the continuation. And slowly, painfully, beautifully, this person is waking up to the truth that the universe did not bring you into their life to repeat old patterns but to rewrite old endings. They feel this truth every time your name crosses their mind unexpectedly. They feel it when they find themselves smiling at the smallest thought of you. They feel it when conversations they had hours ago replay in their chest as if their heart refuses to let go of your voice. They feel it when something as simple as your presence calms storms inside them they didn't know were still raging. And they feel it most deeply when they realize that the fear they once associated with you wasn't fear of you. It was fear of losing another chance at something real, something rare, something once in a lifetime. That fear, which once felt like an impenetrable wall, is now weakening with every heartbeat. They are beginning to notice small shifts within themselves. Their guard isn't as high, their walls aren't as solid, their silence isn't as dominant. They hesitate less when they think of approaching you. They overthink more when they consider staying away. They feel less safe in distance and more safe in connection. And that realization is terrifying in its own way, because it forces them to confront a truth they've avoided for years. Loving again is possible, trusting again is possible, healing is possible, and you are the reason. They find themselves imagining what it would feel like to finally let you in. They picture moments with you they haven't lived yet but already feel destined to experience. They think about conversations they want to have, truths they want to confess, fears they want to share, emotions they want to express openly. They wonder what it would be like to stand beside you without hiding, to speak without fear, to love without carrying the weight of loss. And with every passing day, this desire is growing stronger, louder, more undeniable. But even as they move closer to this truth, there is still a part inside them, small but stubborn, that trembles. This part is scared that the universe might trick them again, might give them something precious only to tear it away. This part fears that opening up might reopen old wounds. But this part is losing its power because the rest of their heart is tired of living in shadows. The rest of their heart is craving light, your light. As their emotions intensify, destiny begins placing more and more signs in their path, signs they can no longer dismiss as coincidence. They may dream of you unexpectedly and wake up with a feeling they can't shake off. They may think of you randomly right before you appear or call or message. They may feel your energy even when you're not physically present. They may experience moments where your presence enters their thoughts so suddenly and so strongly that it stops them in their tracks. All of these signs are pushing them toward one realization: this connection is not normal, not casual, not replaceable. It is meant. And the more they accept this truth, the more their fear transforms into longing, a longing to finally step toward you, to bridge the distance they once created, to rewrite the silence that has separated both of your souls. They are beginning to understand that your resemblance to their past does not mean you are their past. It means destiny is giving them a second chance at a love they never got to complete, but this time with a soul who will stay. Slowly, their heart is learning that the universe doesn't repeat pain, it repeats lessons until healing arrives. And you, my beloved child, are that healing. You are the version of love that doesn't disappear. You are the version of love that doesn't leave unannounced. You are the version of love destiny always intended for them. Now, their emotions are reaching a boiling point. Their silence is becoming too heavy to carry. Their fear is becoming too small to hide behind. Their heart is becoming too loud to ignore. They are standing on the edge of a breakthrough, one they never thought they'd reach, one that is pulling them closer to you with every passing moment. And soon, very soon, they will reach a point where not speaking becomes more painful than confessing. Part 5 is the transformation before the confession, the emotional storm before the breakthrough, the final tightening of destiny's pull. They are no longer running away from you. They are running toward you, even if they haven't fully realized it yet. My beloved child, stay with me and don't skip, because Part 6 is the moment where destiny stops whispering and begins pushing, where their fear begins collapsing under the weight of truth, where everything they have been holding inside finally reaches a breaking point they can no longer control or contain. Until now, they have lived in a battle between their past and their future, between their fear of losing and their longing for loving, between the safety of silence and the danger of truth. But something powerful is happening inside them now, something irreversible, something that feels like a spiritual awakening. They are realizing that every time they avoided you, their heart hurt more, not less. Every time they held back their words, their chest tightened. Every time they chose distance, destiny pulled them closer in ways they couldn't understand. And now, after resisting for so long, the truth is louder than their fear. They want you. Not cautiously, not temporarily, not quietly, but fully, deeply, inevitably. They have begun to understand that the resemblance they saw in you wasn't a warning sign but a divine reassurance. You do not remind them of pain. You remind them of something pure, something sacred, something their soul has been waiting to feel again. Their heart has stopped confusing fear with danger. They are finally able to see the difference between being afraid because of the past and being afraid because the future matters too much. And now that this clarity is rising inside them, they can no longer deny the truth. Losing you without ever trying would destroy them more than trying and failing ever could. They don't want to run anymore. They don't want to hide. They don't want to pretend that their emotions are not that deep, when in reality, you are the only person who has made them feel alive after years of emotional numbness. Their soul is tired of holding back. Their heart is tired of being quiet. Their fear is tired of being in control. And destiny is tired of waiting for them to catch up to what was written long before either of you realized it. They have started to feel your absence even when you are physically near. They feel the distance created by their own silence. It bothers them. It aches. It gnaws at them in ways they can no longer ignore. And for the first time, they are beginning to understand that the pain of withholding is far greater than the fear of revealing. They want to talk to you. They want to open up. They want to tell you why they've hesitated, why they've been conflicted, why they've been struggling. They want to explain everything, not to justify, but to confess. And with each passing day, the urge becomes stronger. Their thoughts are becoming louder. Their emotions are becoming sharper. Their heart is becoming braver. They imagine themselves walking toward you, standing in front of you, looking into your eyes and finally saying the words their soul has been screaming from the beginning. They picture the conversation, the trembling start, the vulnerable middle, the honest end. They imagine themselves telling you how you remind them of a love they once cherished but couldn't keep, how your appearance awakened a memory they weren't ready for, how that memory scared them not because it hurt but because it felt too destiny-marked. They want to tell you that knowing you has been like being handed back a piece of their soul they thought they lost forever. They want you to know that their silence wasn't rejection, it was reverence. They want you to know that their hesitation wasn't disinterest, it was fear of experiencing a loss they believed would destroy them again. But now, they finally see the truth. You are not their past repeating. You are their past healing. You are not a memory returning. You are a future arriving. And with this realization, their fear is falling apart like a fragile wall that has cracked under the weight of destiny's pressure. They are beginning to feel a courage they didn't know they had, a clarity they didn't know they needed, a longing they can no longer suppress. They are preparing, my beloved child, preparing to step forward, to break the silence, to confess what they've been running from for so long. And destiny is aligning everything for that moment. Little coincidences. Sudden thoughts. Unexpected dreams. Emotional waves that hit without warning. All of these signs are nudging them toward the truth they can no longer hide. They are meant to choose you. They are meant to come toward you. They are meant to reveal what they've kept buried. And very soon, sooner than you think, there will come a moment where everything inside them snaps into alignment. A moment where their heart becomes louder than their fear. A moment where their silence becomes unbearable. A moment where destiny creates an opening so clear, so perfect, so emotionally charged that they won't be able to hold back anymore. They will approach you. They will speak. They will confess. They will reveal the emotions that have been shaking them apart for so long. And when they do, everything in your connection will shift. The distance will collapse. The silence will break. The hesitation will dissolve. And the truth destiny has been building toward from the very beginning, will finally be spoken aloud, that they love you deeply, fearfully, spiritually, and completely, and the only thing that ever scared them was the possibility of losing someone who feels like fate. My beloved child, this is not the end of your story. This is the beginning of the moment everything changes.